Okay guys, today we're going to be doing a guide for the final 2 Nightfalls that you probably are needing to complete for the Conqueror title for this season. Now, if you have not completed all these Nightfalls, don't worry about it. It's actually all available this week, and down below in the description will be a link to guides on all of these. But this week, we're going to be going over the Inverted Spire, essentially the beta strike, as well as the Scarlet Keep, which is definitely more challenging. Nothing really changes up between both of these strikes in regards to our loadouts, although I have optimized things a little bit better. And yes, I am playing on the Revenant subclass. Still one of the best subclasses to bring inside of PvE. So deadly. Last week I gave some suggestions when it came to damage dealing perks that didn't stack. So again, we're going to be going over that a little more in depth. But let's talk about modifiers that are going to be present for this week's Nightfalls. First up, for the Scarlet Keep, again, Fire Pit is still there, where acolytes will spawn those fire pools that cause damage over time. Extremely annoying. You have only unstoppable champions and barrier champions to deal with. Like in previous Nightfalls, I actually suggested just having one person rock unstoppable rounds. We had 2 people rocking it. Bombad was actually running double primary. But again, hands down, if you're looking to just cover all your corners, feel free to roll with a single kinetic hand cannon. The Seraph hand cannon is actually one of my favorite PvE weapons, in combination with Ariana's Vow, and just a well-rolled LMG. But considering you are rocking 7 Seraph weapons, which can spawn Warmod cells, might as well rock the Salt, right? Spawning Warmod cells is one of the best things you can do for yourself inside of PvE. For our particular build though, we're leaning a little more into what we did last week, except when it comes to our fragments. We're still rocking Whisper of Bonds, as I think that is still fantastic for PvE, as you can get more super energy with each frozen target. But we're rocking Dust-Filled Grenades with Whisper of Durance. The reason for that is our slow from our abilities will last longer. They'll also linger for longer. Goes hand in hand with feeding yourself back super energy, as well as just locking enemies in place. Last week, I actually recommended Whisper of Hedrons, but QJ actually pointed out to me that High Energy Fire, which is a 20% buff, does not stack with Hedrons, which is also another 20% buff. Now, considering we are on the Revenant subclass, you can't go wrong with backers, especially if you're rocking it alongside Anarchy. Whether it's the Inverted Spire or the Scarlet Keep, this combination is deadly. Just remember, guys, and something I forget often as well, is that when you shift, you gain a 10% increase there in damage, but if the target is slowed, you get even more damage to those slowed or encased targets. Hence why we're taking advantage of Dust-Filled Grenades, Durance, all those things that are slowing targets up, these high health targets, placing a couple Anarchy shots, shifting, getting the increased damage for our arc weapons, on top of that increased damage against slowed or frozen targets. You get where we're coming from, guys. It's nasty. Really. I've been playing Titan inside of PvE for so long. Ursa Furiosa is still a fantastic option, but I really think Anarchy or Bacchus or one of these is probably going to get nerfed. I don't want it to. It's fun as hell, but my God, is it good. Now, for both of these Nightfalls, I would actually suggest a sniper rifle, as keeping your distance is going to be kind of your thing here. Everything in Grandmaster is just much easier to manage when you can put that much distance in between you and your enemies. I did have Posterity, which is actually one of my best roles for PvE. I brought this weapon inside of the Scarlet Keep, but I would actually swap out to my Igelos hand cannon, which has not been sunset yet. It's one of the only void hand cannons that have not been sunset, I believe. But this one comes with triple tap, rampage, pretty nice. You can also spawn more mount cells, all that good stuff. But essentially, I would suggest having a void weapon, or pretty much the whole rainbow, inside of the Inverted Spire. And then for Scarlet Keep, you essentially just need Solar and Arc, and that's it. Now, considering that Hedrons doesn't stack with High Energy Fire, that's what we're still rocking with this week. We're still rocking the combination of both Powerful Friends, Radiant Light, stacks on stacks, High Energy Fire, taking charge, all these things to give us that 20% buff there in damage, magnifying with Bacchus and Anarchy. It's disgusting. But I will say, if you absolutely wanted to still rock Hedrons, you can swap out High Energy Fire for, say, something like Protective Light, or you can even go a Warmod Cell approach and not have anything buffing your damage. Just make sure you're rocking something there that can allow you to spawn Warmod cells regularly. And I feel like we're gonna have to do another build overview video, because I almost want to make like a simplified guide, but I swear things change season to season, especially with artifact mods. Now, like with all other Grandmaster Nightfalls, the most valuable class item mod you can bring in there is Spoils of War. Defeating a champion with a finisher spawns heavy ammo for you and your fire team, and it does not consume any super. I highly suggest having at least one person on your team rocking this, and we used to actually combine it with Assassin's Cowl and allow one of our hunters to go up, get the finisher, go invisible, and then escape. We've just come to the conclusion backers is just all around better. So forget Assassin's Cowl, literally go up, finish, and then proceed to shift to safety. Now let's talk about these Nightfalls, guys. Like with all Grandmaster Nightfalls, being methodical is your friend. And with lots of trial and error, you won't get snuck by that ad that's sitting around the corner waiting for you to push up. I would say that the Inverted Spire is pretty straightforward. This one is really not difficult at all. Matter of fact, we finished this in a little less than 20 minutes. It's not the best Nightfall to speedrun, at least from what I've experienced. It's better than others, but I think Broodhold might still be the best Nightfall to speedrun, as you can get that one sub 15 minutes. Now this Nightfall, distance is your friend, as you see here. Staying away from the enemies, up top, on ledges, high ground is your friend all throughout this Nightfall. Matter of fact, most of the champions you deal with, you can literally just peek over the edge, throw some Anarchy shots in, and then back off and let Anarchy do its thing. By the way, highly suggest whoever is rocking anti-barrier rounds, we say it every single week, but I gotta say it again. Disruption break is straight nasty, man. Like we've got that one teammate that refuses to keep a disruption break weapon, and it's killer. Try to land yourself one though, guys. One of these pulse rifles. I got a Stars that has disruption break. So good. But this Nightfall is pretty straightforward. I feel like we can almost do this Nightfall in our sleep, considering how many of us did this over and over again in D2 vanilla, but it's still so much fun to do now. You'll have some thick enemies to deal with, especially in these little fire bases. Again, keep distance, play off from them, throw some Anarchy shots in there. If you got a Dustfield grenade, freeze them, bada bing, bada boom, they should be dead. Now let's talk about this next phase. When you go up through this chute, this is actually probably the only part that's truly that scary. There will be an unstoppable champion waiting for you. Matter of fact, whoever's rocking unstoppable rounds, be aiming down sights, and as you're going up to the platform, stun them immediately, or this guy's essentially gonna bend your fire team over and bone you to orbit. So stun them, proceed to gun them down, you should be good. Now back in the day, we would actually send one person down to initiate this next phase of the Nightfall. The other two would actually stay up top. They could shoot enemies, or they just essentially wait for this to max out 100% and they can move on to the next area. If you've noticed, we all three jumped down. I felt pretty comfortable with our abilities. I didn't feel like we had to stay up top, although it's the same duration, whether you're staying up top or staying down low. There is an unstoppable champion though that does spawn that you'll have to deal with. It is a little more difficult to deal with that champion up top, as getting the angle will be a challenge. I do wonder though, if you wait to the full 100%, that unstoppable champion might actually despawn, and it may still count towards platinum. However, we did not want to try it out. We just went down, killed him, but it is an option. Now the next phase actually can sneak you. There is some enemies up top that are rocking snipers that are solar. They will kill you extremely fast. Matter of fact, if you have a solar piece, rock solar resistance for Inverted Spire. Gonna be a really big help in keeping you alive. I was actually rocking that alongside Concussive Dampener, which I felt like pretty much covered all my bases. Kept me alive for the most part, and there's a lot of things in this Nightfall doing solar damage. But deal with those enemies, move down. The wanted target is no longer there, so don't freak out if you don't see them. Bungie's gone in there and actually removed wanted targets from Nightfalls. You'll just simply have to deal with the champions down below, as well as a few yellow bars. Now, I would say be pretty liberal with your super, man. Like, don't hang on to it. I was popping mine constantly. That freeze ability is so nice, even if you just pop it on a few high health targets. Couple unstoppables, couple barrier champions, it really doesn't matter. Or just sit there and stun them over and over again, which will allow you to like stagger your own stuns, thus making it easy to damage them down. Now, the area with the actual rig itself, this area you kind of got to take it slow, because you got a lot of things here trying to take your head off. Adds, the rig, no matter how many times you try to hit the drill with your face, you will never win. So my suggestion is actually just kind of stay up top, deal with the ads from afar, and then proceed to deal with the champions. Now, the champions themselves, they used to be spawned out pretty far. Like there would be one on the bottom level. You had to jump down there. It was really annoying. They've all been leveled out. They're right there in that middle layer. You can pretty much reach all of them with ease. Again, small subtle changes. I don't know who the Nightfall team is at Bungie, but these little changes, like removing one in targets, arranging champions in certain places, these are nice. I like them. Now to the boss himself, herself, himself, I don't know. This boss actually has very little health, or very little health in comparison to other Grandmaster Nightfalls. However, I would say save your Well of Radiance for that bottom layer, or pretty much anything that you're utilizing as a weapon or health buff. Bubble, Well of Radiance, all that good stuff. Considering how fast you're going to be melting the boss, you'll reach that immunity phase to move on to that next stage, that I would suggest just waiting till you get to that bottom layer to pop any of those supers. Now, we were kind of in a sticky situation because someone died. Yes, Les, you're throwing it again, man, but died on the second level. And there's something to be said about that, which is a big yikes, is that the orb stays up top. It doesn't come down low. So if you die throughout this process, you cannot be revived unless your team is still on the same level as you. So if you have a teammate that makes an oopsies and accidentally dies, don't keep damaging the boss and go to the next phase. Stop what you're doing. Just dodge for a second, proceed to run around, get the res, and then damage the boss down. Of course, the final room gets a little chaotic, but if you're doing the right things and you're doing enough damage, you should be just fine. This one got a little hairy, I'm not gonna lie. Both of these Nightfalls were actually pretty dicey there at the final part, which takes us to the Scarlet Keep. Yo, this is a Nightfall. This right here, like I love Inverted Spire. I love other Nightfalls. They're fun, but they definitely come off as a strike. Scarlet Keep though, now that's a Nightfall. That's a thick one. It's also simultaneously one of the lengthiest Nightfalls to do. We clocked out today about roughly 37 minutes, although we did have a few people die in the final boss room, which did lengthen that time substantially more. And we also waited for supers. However, the time frame has been increased. I think it was like, what, 30 minutes previously, where you are no longer allowed to get revives. Now that's been extended to 45 minutes. So you've got a little more time here. So as long as you stay underneath 45 minutes, you can still get revives on your teammates and it won't be locked. Now, considering there's so much in this Nightfall that's doing arc damage, I would suggest those that are rocking resist mods, simply swap out. Arc resist is your friend here, especially considering that Hast Serenade increases arc damage as well as knockback damage. But there is a ton of arc damage in this Nightfall, so rock a resist mod, guys. It will keep you alive. Now, throughout this one, you and your fire team are just gonna have to be right on top of each other's butts. You gotta hit the same targets together. You gotta work your way up. There is a ton of ads as well as a ton of champions that are all quite thick. Luckily, you only have to deal with unstoppable and barrier champions for this one as well. However, there is a little more unstoppables in this Nightfall in comparison to the Inverted Spire. So having someone rock maybe an Ariana's Vow combo with an unstoppable weapon, no, they're not going to be breaking the bank when it comes to damage, as they can't take advantage of things like Anarchy, but it's still really nice having something like that. It's just like a safety hold, as there are times when the guy who's supposed to be stunning unstoppable champions dies, leaving your fire team completely exposed. Now, everything about this Nightfall is pretty much how you've always done it. You've got champions sprinkled out. All I suggest is just dealing with each one of these champions together. There was a lot of times I would even notice my own fire team where one guy would be shooting one barrier champion and then the other guy would be shooting another champion on the other side of the map. So just stick together, especially the room where there's like a three-way where you have to unlock each one of these sections. Focus up and do each one of these one at a time together. Now, the elevator itself, I was actually kind of concerned about the elevator, considering you're very exposed here and you can't exactly like pop a bubble or pop a well because this elevator is going up. So if you pop a well or a bubble, those things do not travel with you. They literally just get eaten by the floor and you say bye-bye to your hard-earned super. But the good thing about this elevator is ads actually spawn on a specific side. So think of this elevator more as a triangle. I know it's a circle, but think of it as a triangle. Ads will actually spawn up on two sides of the triangle, leaving one side protected. Rotate on this elevator, putting yourself behind columns on the side facing away from the two exposed sides. This will allow you to stay alive. You don't necessarily have to kill any of these ads. You can just hide, which is primarily what I did here. However, this elevator does stop at two different points of which you will have to kill champions, both barrier as well as unstoppable. The first stop will be a barrier champion inside, as well as dealing with some wizards, but the second stop is the one that will catch you by surprise. An unstoppable champion will spawn and immediately be ready to mess you guys up. So whoever it is that's rocking unstoppable rounds, dude, just go ahead and ADS. Literally just sit there and wait for them to spawn, insta-bang them, or actually like wait a second, then insta-bang them, because sometimes Destiny be doing Destiny things and it doesn't exactly stun the target, and then that unstoppable champion just proceeds to kill you and your teammates. Now, the final room. Oh man, this room will wreck you. Will actually make you start over multiple times if you don't take advantage of a couple of things. Number one, there is a safe spot in that little cubby, that little corner that you've probably seen multiple people take advantage of. This place is your friend. This moment right here where I'm actually the last guardian standing. All hope rests on me. It's okay. Less Bombad, I know I carry y'all every week. But for real though, this spot will save you multiple times. And if you find yourself in a sticky situation at all in this upstairs room, which you most definitely will, I highly suggest going to the spot and just wait for a super. Again, as long as you stay less than 45 minutes, and I think it's 45 minutes, you're good. you can still get revives on your teammates. Play for those supers, man. And we did it a couple of times. I did it twice in this Nightfall. Squall is so good at locking in targets, especially if you got to lock them in place to run and go get the revives on your teammates. Overall, guys, that's pretty much it. With a little bit of luck, you'll be able to beat Scarlet Keep. It's not as annoying. I don't think it's as annoying as Glassway is, but it's up there. It's definitely a more difficult one, but take your time with it. Feel free to jump over there to that little cubby, play for those supers, pop your anarchy shots, backers to safety, and that boss will be dead before you know it. So fellas, good luck. Conqueror Title is, I think, still a title worth flexing. I really wish there was like different colors or maybe like a Roman numeral. Considering how many times you've probably already earned some of these titles and they're just like repeat titles, it would be nice to be able to flex like, hey, I've gotten Conqueror 2 times or 3 times or whatever. And I would be down with either colors or Roman numerals. I think both of those are just a nice little flex there to show your dedication. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.